What is up, App Nation? Welcome to another App Masters Virtual Summit, where we talk to some amazing app entrepreneurs out there, amazing app platforms to really understand how they can help us better grow, better retain, and better monetize our apps. And today I've got a phenomenal guest joining me from his basement during these crazy times. And I was like, look, I'm from my garage and I could just uncover this and show you what my garage looks like. But I want to introduce the guest. He is the co-founder and CEO at TheoremReach, Tom Hammond. And TheoremReach will allow you to better monetize your apps by using surveys. So I'm going to talk all about how you started this platform and also when is the right time to ask for these surveys, Tom. So without further ado, let me introduce the guest. His name is Tom Hammond. Tom, welcome to the summit.
Thanks. No, it's really great to be here. It's, kind of crazy times to be living in, but I'm glad that I'm able to work from home, even if I am regulated down to the basement here. But we do what we can.
I wish I had a basement because I'm in a garage and my dog is literally going inside and out. Sometimes I have my family coming in and out and I have all this background noise. I'm like, just put me in a basement, put me in a little room that nobody else can bother me in. But Tom, let me talk about this. Like, tell me a little bit about TheoremReach and what were you seeing in the market that made you want to start this company?
Sure. Well, I can give you the unfiltered story of how I originally came up with the idea for TheoremReach.
The better unfiltered, the better. I like that better.
I've always kind of had the entrepreneurial sickness where, I see something and rather than just appreciating it for what it is, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But what if we change this? So, a little over 6 years ago, there was an app that came out where they basically show you an ad on your lock screen whenever you unlock your phone and you get paid for that.
Yep.
And I was like, well, that's cool. But what if we asked you a question instead? And how this kind of merged into the idea is at that time, I was playing way more Clash of Clans than I'd like to admit. And I really wanted my fifth builder and I just refused to spend $20 on the game. And so one of the players that they absolutely hated, but I was like, I'm not spending money on this game. And then it kind of clicked. I was like, what if I could take surveys to get these gems for free? Because I do that all day. I don't want to spend my money though. And that's kind of how TheoremReach was born. It's like, well, why don't we give mobile game publishers a way to monetize their non-paying users like me and give us a way that we can more engage with that game to get that content for free? And at the same time, market researchers, it continues to get harder and harder for them to find and reach people. And let's bridge the gap and give them people right where they're at, which is on their smartphones, playing apps and games.
Why surveys? Is it because you knew that people were paying more for surveys, more for this market research, but why surveys?
So, I think at the time there were some other things out there like offer walls, like Tapjoy kind of come around with like CPI offers and stuff. And I'd actually done a few of those as a user. And I often found that like you'd go through and you'd do all this stuff and then you wouldn't actually get a reward. And I just found it really frustrating. And at the same time, I think surveys kind of have a bit of a bad taste. So everyone has maybe fallen for that, click here and take a survey to get a $50 Amazon gift card once. And you like get into it and you realize like, this isn't even a survey. They're just showing me a bunch of ads and stuff. And eventually you give up and you quit. And so it kind of has this distasteful aspect to it. But when you actually get into real market research surveys that are asking you real things, it's actually pretty engaging and fun. Something that a lot of people don't realize is people like sharing information about themselves. So when I get to share something about myself, I get a little serotonin release as if I'm playing a game. And the best part is when you actually have a real survey asking you about something that you find interesting, let's say arts and crafts, it's fun and engaging. You get to share something, you get that serotonin response. At the end, you get a bunch of diamonds, which is great. Then you can go back to your game, spend and use those diamonds, which gives you more of a serotonin response. And it's just this, win-win-win all around the board. And market researchers get that information to give back to their clients to make better products and services.
I'm assuming just the reason we want to use surveys is higher payouts. Is there any other reasons besides that?
Usually when I talk to publishers about a monetization strategy, I like to point out that users are different people and everyone has different things that they prefer or like to do. Some people like having an offer wall where they can download and try other games. and, get gems back in this game for it. Some people love surveys, love being able to share their opinions and things. And they'll ferociously go after this. Other people like watching a lot of videos. And then, your small portion of users where you're going to get a lot of revenue from would be your paying users. So, I typically say, do it all. Like, as long as you're monetizing every aspect of them, you're boosting your overall ARPDAU and LTV of users. And the other thing that we found is when you have things like rewarded video, rewarded surveys incorporated into your app, retention rates are actually higher because your non-paying users are more likely to stick around if you give them an avenue to earn this stuff. And what we see with a lot of games, especially in categories like strategy or casino or puzzle games where users have a much longer lifespan and they really understand the value of the currency, rewarded surveys will become like the way that I get my gems. And if something ever goes wrong, they're like, I need my surveys because I got to get that. And you see a lot of users that are, taking $100+ worth of surveys, over their lifespan. And so you actually start to have like whale survey users that are a part of it. So usually our recommendation is, give users options. Some might try rewarded surveys and might like them. Same thing with the rewarded video. But as long as users have options, they kind of feel empowered to choose. And they really appreciate that from mobile publishers.
Do you find that maybe more like the gems? So I know there's different currency levels, right? Like gems are more powerful than like the coins, right? And so do you find that, hey, for like these higher value currencies, virtual currencies, that's where you should start incorporating some of the surveys?
It depends a little bit. And, I feel like we usually like to look at each game's economy separately to, make sure that we're doing the right things for you. Generally, we found that the more spendable a currency is, the more likely they're to take more surveys. So an example that we saw early on was we had a poker app where just about every user that came in would take like $10 worth of surveys right away to get enough poker chips to enter into like the highest level tournaments and stuff. And then we found that unless they're really bad at poker, they didn't come back and take surveys that often, maybe like once a week or once every 2 weeks to get a recharge. But then you look at like a slots app where, just about every day they'd come in, they'd take a few surveys to get some, tokens for the slots. Then they'd spend them. The next day they kind of come back and repeat that. So the overall ARPDAU was a little bit higher for the slots game because they're coming back and doing it every day. But for that LTV, poker apps still saw a pretty good return there too. So it kind of depends on, how fast can you spend that currency to and how much do I want it? I think if anyone wants to talk to us about rewarded surveys or any other, just general monetization questions, we love going through apps and figuring out like, what's the best monetization strategy for you? How can we help you make more money? If it includes rewarded surveys, great. If we can help you boost your ad revenue, great. We just love helping publishers be successful.
Yeah, I love it too. And I think, when you go to the website, like take Tom up on this offer, he's a genuine guy. Cause I always tell game publishers, like sometimes they come to us too early or just they haven't figured out all of it. And it is these little tiny tweaks that, in my opinion, make a huge difference. That if you're here's my philosophy on this, Tom, like feel free to disagree. But I'm like, if you got 100, 200 downloads a day and you're getting organically, or maybe you're doing some paid acquisition, you're early on in that growth stage and you're in that tinkering stage, well then, figure out how to better monetize that 100 users. Like, don't think about downloads all the time. Like, figure out how to better monetize the people that are coming in right now.
Oh yeah, no, we've had some of our early games were like, I don't know, 20 to 200 daily active users, and they're like, I added surveys and it added an extra, $1,000 a month to me, and it didn't take away from ads and it didn't take away from in-app purchases, and is great for me. And I'm just an indie dev, so I was able to do that on a few more apps, and now it's pretty much paying the bills for me.
So cool, right? Like, it is that important. It is to do that. Hey, Dean, have you guys tried any non-games?
Yeah, we've also gotten into like dating apps or texting apps. Generally, we look for apps that have some sort of rewarded currency, just because it tends to tie best back with surveys.
That's awesome. Well, the website is TheoremReach. You can click on the links, any of the links in the video below as well. Go check them out and reach out to the guys there. Because if you got a game, like Tom said, if you're getting 20 get 20 daily active users. That's enough to make extra money. So figure out how to better monetize that 20. Once again, TheoremReach.com. Tom, if the audience wants to follow up, say thank you for coming on, or even, connect with you personally, do you want to send them anywhere else?
No, I mean, you guys can always just email me directly at tom@theoremreach.com. I love talking to folks, and if I can't help you, I'm sure I can find someone that can.
Awesome. Tom, I hope to do more things with you in the future. Congrats on your success. Congrats on just launching it. I love that grit story, that early story. You got to share more of that, man. I really loved it. But thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Sounds good. Thank you much, man.
Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next interview.